Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and Mean Girls 2024. And you can't sit with us. So, very, very fascinating, concept on you can't sit with us. So the mean spoilers for Mean Girls 2024 in this, and Mean Girls 2024 starts with Katie, this homeschooled uh, dork, essentially, who comes into the school and literally every table is like, we're full, you can't sit with us, right? And it's because it's the band geeks and it's the jocks and it's the plastics, and no one will let her. And even, this little this band, this actually an LGBTQ couple, right, who are not a romantic couple, they're just a platonic couple, which is Damien and Janice, even initially, like, don't offer her a seat, right? Like, and Janice is like, no, we're not taking in this, we're not taking in this, this stray, right? And so she is pushed away, right? Now, where do we see this in, and she ends up eating her lunch in a toilet, right? Now, what is today's version of eating your lunch in a toilet for Dungeons and Dragons? Solo D&D. Boy, oh boy, right? That is eating your lunch on a toilet, right? Like, please, PSA here, don't play Dungeons and Dragons solo. It harms society. I genuinely believe it's like a surrender of human society, right? Gary built this to help us explore ourselves and help us explore others, not just myopically look at it's not about navel gazing, and I truly believe nothing is more navel gazing than solo D&D. So if there's people out there telling you how to solo D&D, stay away. That is not good. That is eating your lunch on a toilet, just to be super clear. But I want to talk about us turning away, very genuinely turning people away from our tables, right? And being turned away from tables, okay? Because I have been turned away from tables, no question, right? So not that far, not that far behind in history either, right? So let's get all the way there. Okay. So why do we turn people away from Dungeons and Dragons tables? Well, there's some really good reasons, right? So let's acknowledge the reasons, but then let's talk about the cost, okay? So what are the reasons why we turn people away from our tables? So first of all, many tables are in fact, most Dungeons and Dragons tables are still dealing with this age-old 1980s myth of 4 hours, like that Dungeons and Dragons should be 4 hours long. And so when people are getting together, that's a 4-hour game, and some games go over 4 hours, right? And then you're putting a half an hour on the front of that and a half an hour on the back of that. You're talking 5 to 7 hours, some games. That is an immense amount of time, right? And so you want it to be good, right? So basically the reason why many people turn people away from the table is they have a good dungeon master, and that is super rare, right? And so they want that good dungeon master to cater to their needs, and they don't want to add in additional people and make this thing even more precarious than it already is, right? And the reality is games go bad the moment you hit 6 players. I think honestly, I think D&D ideally I think it's 2 to 4, right? Many tables run with 5, and many tables have 6 today. And when you get 5-6 players, you do not want another player around the table, because it's 20-25 minutes before you get your turn, right? So people have a good dungeon master, and they don't want to include other players because they have a good thing and they don't want to mess it up, right? And players can come in and not jive with others politically, and you're like, oh, how would politics enter the game? Politics always enters the game. You're talking about money and culture and species. The language is gonna mix. You're gonna get and so people might not mix from politics style. They might not mix from play style. They might not mix from just what music they like. They might not mix, right, socially, right? So there's really a lot of good reasons why you would be very exclusionary at the table. Now the problem is, right now, Dungeons & Dragons is going gangbusters, right? We're ramping up to season 5 of Stranger Things. We've had 4 seasons of Dungeons & Dragons on Stranger Things, right? Stranger Things is the #1 streaming show in the world. That's not an exaggeration. That's a fact. Stranger Things is the #1 streaming show in the world, right? And the heart of it is Dungeons & Dragons. So we literally have millions of new players coming in, brought in by the Critters, brought in by Stranger Things, brought in by Laron's Baldur's Gate. We have this huge influx of players, and increasingly those players are having the Katie walk. They're walking, they're like they get excited. They see Eddie the Dungeon Master in season 4 of Stranger Things, and they're like, oh, I'll go find something at my friendly local game shop, and find it's not that friendly. There are not a bunch of open tables, right? There are people who are playing, who have baller games, and they don't want a noob at the table, right? Like, and so this is very real. And the Katie walk, and people end up, buying an essentials kit at Target, and then running it with 1 or 2 friends who have no idea what it is, right? And so there's a lot of bad Dungeons & Dragons out there, just from the perspective of we are very exclusionary about our tables, because good dungeon masters are rare as hen's teeth, right? So the you can't sit with us is very real, right? So I wanted to talk through how we arrived at this, and also just wanted to really express that this is incredibly real, in that you can't sit with us is very real, right? But how do we fix it, and how do we actually manage this problem, right? And that's a good question. So the biggest issue is, the real answer, in my humble opinion, is would be an online connector for games. But the structure we need is literally the same structure as Uber, right? Like, we need, ratings on dungeon masters and ratings on players, and everything needs to be public and safe, right? But Uber Talk cost billions of dollars to actually spin up, right? And we're not going to be able to attach that kind of money, that kind of safety, that kind of transparency, that kind of public identity to what we need, right? So the solution is just out of grasp. And to be clear, I have used online sites and put up my physical game, saying, hey, I have a space, I can run, you guys can come in, and it's crickets, right? And the reason why is people just don't know where to look, right? And there are multiple solutions that are not perfect, and none of them have got enough traction to really get the job done, right? So how do we, so the real answer is, the real solution is beyond us right now from a money perspective. We don't really have it, right? So what can we do right now? And the one thing I can encourage you to do is, this year, with the games that you are playing, right? I really think the best way to handle this is go tack up a sign at your local FLGS. Just take a sign in and say, this is a 3x5 card for my game. I'd like to put it up for 2 weeks, and we're going to bring it, and we're going to say, hey, if you're interested, email, and we'll bring you in for 1 game as a test, right? And it's wonky, and it's not ideal, but the reality is, I really feel like we have so many good games, and I'm convinced, man, oh man, if you listen to this channel, I know you are deep in the weeds, dedicated to Dungeons & Dragons, because no one who isn't is here, right? So, and the reality is, 9 chances out of 10, you have a great group, right? And the reality is, there are a lot of Katies out there. There's a lot of people who were saying, you can't sit with us. And we need to stop that. We need to get this fixed and get this, taken care of. So this year, open your game to 1 person. I'm just encouraging you. It's one small thing we can do. And I'm going to take my own advice too. And, right now, my gaming group has 2 people in it, right? And we have room for more, right? So that's good. And so we're gonna open it up. And I know it's going to be hard, but we're going to do the work to try. That's my commitment to you. And I'm asking you, commit. Try to bring in 1 person this year, and try, and be patient with them when they come in. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. And I really want to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium. And thank you.